Welcome back to another episode. The Amazon Private Label Show podcast is hosted by the Amazon FBA University founders. My guy over here, Ryan.
In Austin.
London, in Austin, Texas,
Live and direct, baby.
Here in the flesh, in myself, just at home. So today's episode, we are going to talk about the exact steps to build a private label business all the way back at starting at zero, right? So just getting used to the Amazon platform, just getting used to understanding all these different things you've probably seen in videos, podcasts, X, Y, and Z. We're going to put the starting point and the first few steps laid out for you so you actually know what step is required and when, and what things to really just not learn until you can act on them. So
yes,
we are going to start with that, my man. So we've built a few private label brands at this point. If you were starting today, you're aware of what Amazon is. You know, You want to start a brand. You know, you don't want to resell other brands. Where exactly do you start? And we'll just kind of take it from there.
So yeah, this is going to be pretty much the same concrete advice we always give, but there's going to be a little twist in today's episode. So we're going to give you guys a little bit more juice and get you set up properly. But really the first place you want to start is any successful business or any business at all, you need a product to sell before you can call yourself a business. So you have to look at a product. So in order to find a product, you need to use a product research software tool. Now, we're going to be advocates of Sniper Insights, our own tool that you can use to find products because it's a great tool and it's very, very cost effective when it comes to it compared to some of the other things out there. Now, to find a product, you really need to dive down into what makes a good Amazon product. So this gets construed. A lot of people have their different opinions. My own opinions and our opinions have changed over time as well. But the core crux of it is you want to find a product that has, number one, search volume demand. So I like to find products that have 50,000 in search volume from at least the top 10 to 15 keywords. If I can find that, that tells me that there's enough different ways in which people are searching for the product. So I know there's going to be demand from different sections and I can possibly find a less competitive keyword to target initially, build up my ranking on that one keyword, and then start to target the big boys and really then start to dominate the market. So search volume is number one. The second thing is we're in this game to make money, so you got to think about profit margin. So you want to be finding products that have at least a 35% or more profit margin. I actually now teeter on the higher side, so I like to source high-ticket products over $100 selling price that have a 45% or more profit margin. The greater the profit margin, the lower the number of products I need to sell to make the same amount of money when we're talking high ticket. So I love sourcing high ticket products. And I always think, it's the same amount of time you need to spend finding a product that can sell for $30 as it is to find a product that can sell for $200, let's say. So I always like to exercise and put my time into the most effective way of finding these products. And for me at the moment, that is high ticket. So those two things. And then the third one is you really want to dive into the cost per click of your product. So I'm a huge advocate for cost per click. If I look at some of my products that have done better than others and the ones that I've been able to scale earlier on than some of the other ones, it really has come down to the cost per click and the fact that the cost per click is lower on those types of products. So I love high ticket products, lower cost per click, under $1.50 a click. It just means you can scale the product way earlier and you're going to be way more profitable earlier on than, let's say, a typical product where you might not be profitable until your third restock or your fourth restock. And that might be 6 months into selling a product before you actually finally turn a profit on it. So you want to always aim to be as profitable as you can earlier on. But those are kind of my go-tos when it comes to, looking for products, doing product research. That's really the first step of building out this business.
Yeah. And just to kind of lay out the tracks we're on. So before you need to set up a seller account, you don't need a seller account to start product research. So a lot of people, you realize you have to start an Amazon seller account eventually, right? But you don't necessarily need that until you've found your product. So from day one, it's not a bad idea to just start and get your seller account at the same time you're signing up for your product research software, whether it's Sniper Insight, Helium 10, Jungle Scout. All of these are good tools, but you just want to have the access set up by the time you need it. And your seller account's going to take, realistically, the shortest. Once you decide, okay, I'm going to go to sell.amazon.com, log in or create an account, and then boom, it's ready. That the shortest amount of time that happens to actually being verified is about a week. So just know everything on Amazon, especially now because they're cracking down on new seller accounts, a lot of Chinese fake accounts just kind of have ruined it for everyone. So just know when you're signing up for product research, if you're getting Sniper Insights, which is a fraction of the price of Helium 10 or Jungle Scout and has all the tools you need, right? at the same time, get your seller account going. So all we're doing in this phase, the introductory phase, is account setup and everything we need to do to find product number one.
Yep.
And so the key, once you have the tool, once you have your accounts underway, is actually understanding what to look for. And so Rye was talking about making sure you're a keyword, niche, category, whatever, that has enough demand, because you cannot make up for a lack of demand, especially on Amazon, because you are restricted to the ad types you can do. Whereas other platforms, let's say Instagram, TikTok, you can basically just show up with your product where people aren't looking for it. On Amazon, you can only really market on keywords. People aren't searching for enough keywords relevant to your product. You're not going to show up for enough places.
Yeah.
So that is one. And then, so if we kind of move along down the private label journey, we're at product research now. Let's move down into, we've found product number one. Okay, so what's next? And what's next first is to fully analyze it. If you don't have our product research workbook, you should definitely get that. We'll link that in the show notes, but you want to take it through each of the 6 product research vetting criteria. And so we don't need to go through all of it on a podcast. It's a little deep.
Quite
but
lengthy.
you should have these. You should have this workbook, or this at least screenshot up, to make sure you're looking at it from all angles, because you don't want to just say, okay, demand's there, go. You want to make sure the competition, the ability to differentiate, lack of big brands in the market, XYZ, are all there.
Huge.
Then the final step, everything's a green, we're ready to go, is to actually contact suppliers. And that moves us basically to the next phase of sourcing. And so it's a little difficult, right? Because you move into sourcing, you move into contacting suppliers without fully knowing the margin, because you know there's going to be a back and forth in negotiation. So there's 2 objectives when you reach out to suppliers. One, to get your product sourced, but first, before that, you have to understand and negotiate the lowest price point for your product. And so when you're negotiating, when you reach out to suppliers, obviously we have a supplier contact template as well. That's a good starting point, getting everything out there at once. But then let's say supplier XYZ responds. Kind of what's your basis for knowing when you've hit a price floor versus negotiation? Let's kind of talk through a little bit of negotiation.
Yeah, so for me, I'm always, I never think of this as, a lot of our students and a lot of people I talk to when it comes to Amazon, they always think of this as, hey, whatever the supplier says is gospel and there's really no bargaining. But you should always remember that any price you see on the Alibaba platform, if you're using that platform to source products, is just a guideline and it's never the floor. So you always want to negotiate with suppliers. But how you know when you hit the floor or not is really, I think, when you've exhausted all different avenues of that negotiation. So, I'm really one of going super hard. I ignore any MOQs. I think MOQs a lot of the time are just ways in which suppliers bake in their profit. So for me, I always just go super hard. And I've got a couple of different techniques I want to share with you guys as to how, I bring down the MOQ or I bring down that unit price per product. So the first thing I like to do is shift the blame from myself. So let's say instead of the supplier thinking I'm the issue and I'm being hard work, I shift the blame to Amazon and say, look, your MOQ might be 1,000, but I can only send in 300 units. And it's not me that dictates that MOQ, it's actually Amazon. So Amazon are restricting me to 300 units, even though they aren't, but they're restricting me to 300 units, so I can only send in 300. So therefore, then that's why I need to buy 300. And then all of a sudden, the supplier can't be angry at you, they're angry at Amazon. And neither of you are Amazon. So it's kind of like you shifted the blame. That works sometimes, not all the time. Other times, I'm, super honest with the supplier and say, look, I want to do a test order first of all. I can't just go full send on this product because I don't know whether or not it's going to take off. So let me do a test order first, 200-300 units. And then, if things do go well, my restock order will be 500, maybe even 1,000 pieces. So that, again, is promising or kind of saying to them that, look, this isn't just a one-off transaction. I want to work with you over a longer period of time and really build brand value and spend, in the space of a lifetime, space of a year, hundreds of thousands of dollars with you, depending on how, how quickly this takes off. So setting out the lifetime value you're going to bring to a supplier is a great way of also showing them that, you're in it for the long game and bring that MOQ down initially. The other way, again, just being super honest, is just saying, look, I can't afford to pay that at the moment. I can't afford 500 pieces, but I can afford 300. Depending on where a supplier is at in terms of their other clientele, and say they might be going through a tough period or they're looking to just onboard as many clients as possible, they might actually take you up on that offer and bring down that MOQ to actually give you the more favorable number of units that you want. And those are kind of my main points when it comes to negotiations. And look, worst case scenario, if it doesn't work out, I just walk away. Like, there's so many products out there on Amazon. There's so many different suppliers. If it doesn't work out, you can't make it work. Maybe the margins don't work or the MOQ doesn't work for you. Don't force yourself into a corner that's going to end badly. Always walk away and do what you're capable of doing within the constraints you're working with at the moment.
Yeah. And just to reiterate, so like kind of piece together what Rye's discussing. When you first reach out to a supplier and request a quote, they're going to give you the catalog or list quote. And so this should give you more confidence in negotiation, knowing whoever you're talking to is on their sales team. And so their best case from their perspective is you don't change the product, you take it as it is, you don't negotiate, and you order a ton, right? So just realize that's their goal and your goal is a lot different. And so they'll give you a catalog price, and then that same sales agent usually has, okay, your job is to give someone a catalog price, but you can also sell all the way down to this minimum price. So say the catalog price is $10, but like every business, we want revenue. So if someone negotiates, you can go all the way down to $8.50. And so if you don't negotiate, you are going to miss out on $1.50 per unit times thousands of units, right? So there, that's thousands, if not tens of thousands of dollars left on the table.
Mm-hmm.
And so that is what you're trying to do. And they are very used to negotiation. So a lot of our students, a lot of people first time they are sensitive to people's feelings, I would say. And that's great, right? That you don't want to come off and just be an asshole, but you really want to be firm. The negotiation ends when you realize, okay, I've asked from 6 different angles, and they went from 10 to 878, but they're really not budging, and I've asked 3 times. Okay, cool. That's the price. Let's keep it moving. If the final price you negotiated to fits in with the margin, fitting in means your gross margin is 40% or more, then typically that's good enough to launch. And so, okay, so now we've found a product. We've reached out to get the margin. We've negotiated down to our unit costs. So we essentially know everything we possibly would want to know about the product before launching, we've done. And so at this point, we've assumed if you are negotiating and you know you're going to launch, you are going to sample the product. And so you want to sample after you've negotiated, because the issue, if your product is very close on the margin, let's say their catalog price is just a little too expensive to fit in, but you think you could negotiate $1 or $2 off the price and that would fit in with 40% or more margin, then once you hit that margin, then you want to sample. And the reason I'm circular at this point, but if you sample too early and you realize, oh, the margin's not going to work, but you already paid for samples, then you've already wasted money and you've wasted that time waiting for the samples, which will be 5 to 10 days to arrive.
Yep.
When you could have been just looking for other products. So you want there. So sampling is pretty straightforward. You either want to sample yourself, or if it's a product where you're like, I don't know how the hell I would test this, which is not uncommon at all. There's several products in my catalog that I'm like, I don't know how to use this product. It looks great. There's a high demand. I can tell it's quality. I'm going to send it to a quality control expert in China who's independent of the company. It's important if you're getting your samples tested. It shouldn't be anyone related to the company, right? Because you could see the misaligned incentives.
Conflict of interest.
And so at that point, you're sampling and you're testing for quality. You're making sure everything that listings that are selling well in your niche say that your product that you're testing actually performs. So whatever's on the listing page, whatever's on the copy needs to in actuality work. And so at that point you've sampled, and then boom, we are at initial order phase. So typically we have an initial order between about 200 and 350 units. And just through everything we've tested with both long-term storage fees to avoid after 6 months and making sure you don't order too little to run out of stock, that's the right number. So let's move to the next phase of, okay, product found, product sourced. We know we're going forward. We've paid the 30% deposit. Now at that point, you've paid the deposit. What's your next move?
So really 2 things you want to do here. So first one is you need to build out your listing, right? You don't have a listing right now. You need a listing. You need real estate on Amazon. So you need to build it out, but also you need to get someone who's going to ship your order from China to the US or wherever, you're selling on the Amazon platform. So let's talk about that first, right? So a lot of the times you can go through your main supplier to ship your product over. However, your supplier normally will want to make a margin on that, right? So they will contact a third-party agent who, typically is a freight forwarder, who will then charge you, 20% extra on top. So what we normally do, and this is what we say to our students as well, and both Mike and I do this in our own businesses, is we'll contact a freight forwarder or a third-party agent who will basically source the goods from our manufacturer in China and then freight them over for us through DDP shipping. So there's a couple different terms that you guys want to be aware of when it comes to shipping. The first one is EXW, or extended works, essentially just a manufacturer making the goods, them not traveling anywhere, literally just the manufacturer of the goods. Then we've got FOB, which is free on board, which is basically means that they'll bring the goods from the manufacturers, they'll make the goods, and they'll also bring it to the port on the Chinese side. And then from there, it's up to you to basically, your responsibility to ship it over from there. And then there's DDP, which is delivery duty paid. That basically is the one we recommend you go for, which is just end to end basically. So how I normally work it is EXW from the manufacturer, then my freight forwarder comes in and handles my DDP shipping, getting it sent over. The reason I like to do that is because you don't have to worry about like customs forms, import duties, taxes, everything's rolled up into the quote they give you. And it's just way less hassle, way less stress-free. So that's the one you want to go for. So I always say, look, get a quote from your supplier for shipping, because sometimes they'll be okay. They won't want to make any money on it, but in my experience, it's very rare. And then get quotes from 2 other freight forwarders. So inside of our Accelerator 2.0 FBA University community, we have freight forwarders that we work with on a close basis, and they offer bulk discounts to ourselves and our students just because of the sheer volume. We put through hundreds of thousands of dollars of shipping freight every single year through the program. So they offer us bulk discounts. But basically what you want to do there is you want to give them a West Coast address. So when you create your shipment plan, when you actually ship your goods over, you want to have a West Coast address, because that's going to mean that you're going to pay the least amount for your shipping, because that's going to be closest to the port where the products actually dock on the United States side. So West Coast address, and then they'll give you a quote. You have to provide them with a little bit of information before your freight forwarder will give you that quote. So you have to think about getting this from your supplier. So you're going to need carton information, so carton weight and dimensions, number of cartons you're shipping, number of units that are going into each of those cartons, and then with that information, and an address, so a West Coast fulfillment address, and then with that information, basically your freight forwarder is going to give you a quote, dollars per kilogram and cubic volume for the products that you're shipping over. And there's a couple different types of shipment, right? So if we go right from the top, like most expensive, you can do air shipping. If you just have to have the goods there, it's going to be expensive, right? So I think I got a quote for air shipping last week. It was $5.39 a kilogram, which was, huge. Then we have fast sea shipping. Then we have regular sea shipping. And there's some like railway and truck freight going on there. But really, those are the 3 you want, right? Air shipping, if you have to get, let's say it's Christmas time coming up, it's Q4, and you have to get the products in, you're going to want to do air shipping. Fast sea shipping is something I use, like if I need it quickly, but I'm not really prepared to pay the air freight cost. And then really the one I use majority of the time is slow sea shipping. If I'm really not fussed when the products come, I'm not in any rush and I want to pay the most competitive rate, I'm going to go slow sea shipping. So organize those with your freight forwarder, pay them, and then basically when the goods are complete, they're going to freight the goods over. But before that happens, really important, guys, you want to get an inspection done. So when your goods are finished and your supplier said to you, hey, the goods are ready, pay me the 70% remainder, before you pay them, you have to get an inspection done. It's really, really important, because this is the last point in which you're going to have any quality control with the product before it actually lands up in the customer's hands. And you don't want a bad product to go to your customer. They leave you a negative review and it literally just ruins any chances of launch or any chances of ranking or any chances of you making money that you have. So you want to organize an inspection. 2 companies we suggest are SGS through Alibaba or VTrust if you want another company. And these are third-party companies that come in, inspect the goods, inspect a small sample of the goods, and provide a full report. I think the last report I got was like 58 pages. So they really go into detail with everything. They test things that you, like Mike said, that you wouldn't be able to test. So those are the good guys. Those are the guys we want on our side. And then they'll basically pass or fail it. If they pass it, we're good to go. If they fail it, it depends what they failed it on. Sometimes it's a minor fail, which, you can overlook. But if it's a major fail on, electronic components or something more serious, then, it's something that you want to get rectified with the supplier before you pay the remaining 70%. So now you've paid the remaining 70%, your freight forwarder's got your goods, they're shipping over, everything's all in full swing. Mike, what's next? What's the next in the process?
Yeah. And so Rye laid out a lot of the pieces of the listing, but just the core of your listing's never going to convert well unless your pictures are outstanding. And so we have partner freight forwarder companies. Freight forwarder just means a shipping company. It's just a sexy term. Yeah. And so then we also have, and this is through testing, right? We've been in the game for years, so we've tested a lot of bad service providers. So we have freight forwarders, and then we have a Amazon specific photography and videography agency called Kenji ROI. They're not the cheapest, but if you don't get good photos, you're going to be running ads to those photos, and your ads are going to spend more and be more expensive for however long that product's in stock. So you really want to think of photos as an asset. You're investing in those, and we really, really recommend using them just because they do it right. They only do Amazon photography and videography. They're not taking nature pictures and trying to now photograph your tech gadget, right? They know exactly what to do. They know exactly the angle, the lighting, boom. And so you have that. You've written the listing, which is SEO enriched based on the primary keywords you found in product research. We're not going to go into every detail. We have videos on that. But then you are essentially ready. Your goods are arriving at this point. You're ready for launch. And so launch has a couple different components. The first is, one, search, find, buy targeted reviews. And what that means is having 10 to 15 people who are not your family and don't share your Wi-Fi. At least, like, the less you know them, the better. But obviously, it depends how big your network is. If you don't know that many people, it's kind of hard to ask strangers for a random favor. So that's why we have networks within our communities where people exchange reviews. You want these kind of people to find your product organically on a search, buy it, and then leave a review. And so that's helping you in two phases. It's helping, one, your organic rankings, because how they found the product replicates an organic sale. That means Amazon boosts you on that keyword because they're saying, whoa, if one person found it this way, I bet more people would like to. Let's show them to more people. So that's one. Second is Amazon pay-per-click advertising. And so you want to set up keyword campaigns targeting your main keywords. And then you also want to set up an auto campaign to discover new keywords and other product listings that the algorithm deems you would convert on. And essentially that's a discovery campaign. So auto campaigns are just, okay, I've set up a strategy. I probably am missing some things. Let's let a discovery campaign show me what I'm missing. That's the second. And then a third is an ASIN targeting campaigns. ASIN just means an Amazon listing. We are targeting 10 to 15, both competitors in your market and then like complementary products. So if you're selling a tech gadget, you would probably want to advertise on that main tech product, right? So if you're selling iPhone cases, a complementary product would be the iPhone listing, right? And so like that. And then you'd also want to target iPhone cases that you have a unique selling prop over. That could be a lower price, that could be a better product, that could be a better listing. So you got to be very objective and only target people you really think are either complementary or you have an advantage, right? You don't want to target someone who has a lower price, a better listing, and a better product. It's not going to convert. Okay, so then you are ready to launch. And so now we're moving all the way kind of to the end of this because there's only so far we can take it to.
Can't give you everything in one video.
Yeah, exactly. But you've launched at this point. We're going to assume you got a good 20 reviews in the first 2 months. At this point, you're doing about 10K per month. What are your next, let's say, couple months focus on? And we'll kind of close it on that.
For sure. So, once you're at that stage, really for me, the first threshold is that $10,000 a month. Normally by that point, you're somewhat near break-even point, or if you're lucky, you're a little bit profitable if you've set up your PPC campaigns properly and you're targeting the right keywords that do convert into sales. Now, when you're at this point, what I love to do is add 2 more PPC campaigns to the mix, right? So in the beginning, like Mike said, you want to launch with those 3 campaigns: ASIN targeting, exact match, and automatic. Now, when you're at this stage, you've got 20 reviews, you're converting well, you've got a little bit of clout under your belt, so you've got some sales velocity going on. You want to add in 2 more campaign types. So that is broad campaign type and phrase campaign type. And these are kind of like the automatic, they're a little bit of a scattergun approach. So broad is targeting broader phrases. So you'll put in a keyword like tripod for Nikon camera, and they'll find keywords both at the beginning and the end of that to form longer tail keywords that are going to bring in sales. And the same with phrase, but just a little bit more sort of compact. But basically those 2 keyword campaigns are going to find new keywords. They're going to get you sales, but more importantly, they're going to identify keywords that you can actually move into your exact match campaigns and then filter through. So you want to get to the point of targeting as many different keywords, many different categories, and many different components as possible, and build that list of targeted keywords in your exact campaign that you know convert. And I go one step further. So say my exact campaign, I don't like to put any more than 5 keywords in it. If any one of those keywords really converts better than anything else in that, I'll leave it in there, but I'll also take it out, start a new campaign where it's by itself, call it a single keyword exact match campaign. And there I'll assign it its own budget where I know Amazon will only spend $10, $15, $20 on that one keyword that I already know converts because I have data from it from another campaign. I let it rip on its own campaign, and that really brings in a lot of sales. So you want to do that as much as possible and build out your catalog. So in some of my products, it's not unheard of for me to have, 100 keyword campaigns, 100 exact matches, 20 ASIN targets here. You always want to be looking at new products you can target. Maybe going down the funnel from going, like Mike said, exact products to complementary products to loosely related products. You always want to keep testing what converts, test creatives, test your hero image, and really build that out. But I guess at that point, you probably going to want to launch a second product. If you have the cash flow for it, if you can restock product number 1 and you have some left over from the revenue that's brought in to launch product number 2, or if you want to add some more money into the mix from, resources that you have, credit you have access to, etc. You really want to launch product number 2. And again, you want to be looking for products that are profitable, that fit all the criteria that we said in the beginning. But really with an Amazon business, it scales way quicker when you add products into the mix. So if you can add another product, do $10,000 with that, and then keep adding from there, it's easier to hit the $100,000 a month mark with a couple of products than it is to do it with one product and hit a home run. So what I try to do is try to get a few products that hit 10, 15, 20,000 a month, and then they snowball, they scale. I can add some variations in there. It's a great way of increasing your real estate without having to start right from the beginning and launch again, because when you launch variations, you share the reviews, you share the sales velocity, and you share the BSR. So that's a great way of doing things. So really, you just want to expand your business. What can I launch? Variations, new products I can launch, and start really building out that brand and then scaling to that, $20, $30, $40, $50,000 a month mark. So that's, guys, exactly how you do it. That's a blueprint. That's how we launch an Amazon business in 2023. That's how we are launching new products in 2023 and going into 2024 as well. Now, we run this whole playbook through with you. We handhold you through the entire process in the Amazon Accelerator 2.0 program. We've actually added a new feature where we will pick a winning product for you. We'll give you 3 different product selections, and then you pick the one you like and resonate with the most. And then we also offer unlimited one-to-one calls for an entire year as well. We handhold you through the entire process. It's a 14-hour playbook. We give you access to the vault, which is all of our resources that we use in our own business. And we're with you every step of the way, seeing you succeed with your Amazon business for an entire year. And we've had great successes. We've had a student hit $11,000 in his first week, $40,000 in his first month, and various other students are doing $20,000, $30,000 months in there. Some have even quit their 9-to-5 forever and gone all in on their Amazon business.
And we will make you do the work, just so you know. It's not you join and then you don't hear from us. It's even if you join and we don't hear from you, we're reaching out. So we get the results because we apply a little bit of pressure, just like you got to negotiate. You also got to make sure people understand once you get momentum going, it's very easy to run your business, but you got to be consistent in the first month. That is why in the program, people get the answers and then also know we're going to be asking you about the progress. So hopefully that gets people to act.
We're going to be on you. We're going to be on you. So look, if you're interested with an Amazon FBA private label, you probably are because you're watching this or you're listening to this on the podcast. So get in touch. We'd love to hear from you and book a call with us. The link's in the description or the show notes, depending on what medium you're watching this. And as always, we'll see you in the next episode.